talking about the best JRPGs coming out in 2023, and I'm hearing a crazy loop, and I'm not sure why. So give me a second here to figure this out. What's going on, everyone? We are here talking about the best JRPGs coming out in 2023. Sorry, there's a crazy loop somewhere. I'm hearing no idea where it's coming from. I'm not sure why. So give me a second here to figure this out. Are you guys hearing a loop? What's going on, background music, everyone? I have it on. We are here talking about the best JRPGs coming out. I have no idea where it's coming from. 2023. Sorry, there's literally no loop somewhere. I'm hearing no idea where it's coming from. No idea where it's coming. So give me a second here to close it out. Are you guys hearing a loop? What's going on, background music, everyone? I have it on. Totally turning the music off. I don't know where it's coming from. Talking about the best JRPGs coming out. I have no idea where it's coming from. 2023. Sorry, there's literally no loop somewhere. I'm hearing no idea where it's coming from. No idea where it's coming. So give me a second here to close it out. Are you guys hearing a loop? And I'm hearing myself. I don't know how long you're background music, everyone. I have it on. Totally turning the music off. I don't know where it's coming from. Talking about the best way possible. The best JRPGs coming out. I have no idea where it's coming from. 2023. I mean, there's literally no idea somewhere. No idea where it's coming from. No idea where it's coming. So give me a second here to close it out. Are you guys hearing a loop? This is crazy. And I'm hearing myself. I don't know how long you're background music, everyone. I have it on. Totally turning the music off. I don't know where it's coming from. Talking about the best way possible. The best JRPGs coming out. I have no idea where it's coming from. I mean, there's literally no idea somewhere. No idea where it's coming from. No idea where it's coming from. So give me a second here to. I think I figured it out. Okay. Okay. Tell me if it's normal now. I think I figured out what the problem is. I was trying to add something to. I was trying to add something to make it so I could see the chat live, but like, oh my god, that was it like just messed everything up in OBS. So it should be off now. But you guys tell me we're good now. Okay. Yeah, it was just like this never-ending loop. In my head, I'm going insane because it was just like the loop just kept going over and over and over and over. But yes, happy New Year, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Cheers to you guys. Yeah, we're just gonna do a casual little just chatting stream tonight. We're not gonna be playing any games or anything. We're just gonna be talking about the games coming out this year. So it's super excited to see you all here. Excuse me. Kathleen, Acebreaker, Black Trife, Futagu, Alex, Michael, Dr. Level Up, everybody, thank you so much for coming by and chatting with me. So what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of go down the list. Yeah, the chat's delayed. Sorry, you're going to have to deal with that. This is my first time actually trying to incorporate chat, so I'm not totally sure how that's gonna work. I may need to adjust this in the future, but anyway, yeah, so what we're gonna do today is I'm gonna just bring up one JRPG at a time, and we're just gonna talk about it, kind of do a hype check, see where everybody's at, and then yeah, and then we'll just go one by one. And so and so the one that we're gonna start with, I'm sorry, I'm laughing because I'm replaying that looping music in my head. This is going to be hilarious on the replay. I may need to make like an edited video about this because it's just ridiculous. But yeah, so first one is One Piece Odyssey. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to just do polls each time and just see where our hype level's at. One Piece Odyssey. Hyped? Yes or no? Okay, so I just threw out a little poll, so you guys just kind of reply to that as it happens. But Yeah, so One Piece Odyssey, that's the first JRPG that's coming out this year. And I put out a video today kind of previewing it. And as I was doing research, I was really surprised at like the depth of the mechanics that they're getting into. Cause like let's all be honest, like a lot of these anime RPGs get a lot of like they just don't get the production value that they like really deserve. Like they have like 1 or 2 year dev cycles and they're kind of cheap and they're not that great. But this one they've been working on for a very long time, and they have a lot of like unique mechanics. Like to me, the field mechanics, um, where each person has their own field action. Like Usopp can shoot stuff down, and Luffy can, stretch and go over different long distances and things like that. So, yeah, it seems interesting. It seems deeper than I thought, and then even like the combat is really looking cool, because there's a lot of different ways you can like circumvent grinding. So, like for example, they do this thing where you can have like a little dinner party at campgrounds, and then for an extended period of time you have like XP boosts and stuff. And then I guess Luffy also has this ability where he can see enemies that have increased XP. And then they're doing this thing called like dynamic, oh god, I forget what it was called, like dynamic events or something like that, where like they'll give you these random combat challenges where it's like, okay, Zoro is disabled or poisoned or something, and you need to defeat the enemies before he dies, or like you need to only beat enemies with this one specific character. So I think that's really cool. But yeah, so looking at the hype check right now, 58% no, 42% yes. So not a lot of hype for One Piece Odyssey. But I'll keep it open until we start the next one. But let me just kind of see what you guys are saying. Yeah, Futago, I know you're a big One Piece fan. I know that that's kind of how you built your channel. You've done a lot of cool stuff. Devron Henderson, what's going on? Oh, Devron Hodson? I've always read your name as Henderson. That's interesting. I'm just now connecting that. The Fairy Tale JRPG got me into anime, says Michael. Yeah, the Fairy Tale JRPG was actually like shockingly addictive, because like you had those jobs boards and you just kept doing them over and over and over again. And I got the platinum in that too. That was a fun platinum. Dr. Level Up said that was his first platinum too. That's awesome. I mean, it wasn't a terribly like super difficult platinum, but it was fun because it was just like do all the quests, get in all the different character interactions. But anyway, yeah, that's One Piece Odyssey. I'm pretty excited for this one. It comes out next week, I think, actually. I'm gonna pull up my calendar. Yeah, so weirdly enough, they're doing this weird staggered release where the PC version comes out on Thursday, and then the console versions come out on Friday. I don't know why they did that. I've never really seen a game do that before. Not that that's impossible, but yeah, interesting nonetheless. And I know a lot of people were asking if I'm going to be reviewing it. Definitely. I mean, it depends. If I get a code, I put in my request, but I have a pretty good relationship with Bandai Namco at this point. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to get it. But yeah, no, super excited. Yeah, we got Roberto in here saying, can't wait to have my collector's edition. The PS5 one sold out, so you get the PS4 one. Interesting. I'm curious what is in that. So yeah, definitely let me know. Let me know what's in the collector's edition. I haven't bought, literally the last collector's edition I bought was the Ni no Kuni one. And the reason I wanted to is that was the only way to get that physical, like the Wizard's book. Because there's a lot of mechanics in that game where you have to like go into the in-game menus and mess with it, but to have the physical version was kind of cool because you could just flip to the different pages and do it that way. So all right, we're gonna end the poll here. So 59% are not hyped for One Piece Odyssey and 41% are. So not doing not the most hyped JRPG so far. But let's move on to the next one here. So we'll turn off One Piece. Persona 3 Portable. Now I know that this is not like I'm gonna do a poll for this one. Whoops. Persona 3 Portable. Hyped. So I know that this one is not exactly like a new game by any means. It's not. It's like a super big game. But I'm curious. My big curiosity is I'm curious if people are going to be interested in this one, or if it holds up, because this was the first of the new Persona JRPGs, right? Like totally reinventing the formula with Persona. And I think Tartarus, the dungeon that you crawl through, it's very strange. It's very monotonous, very repetitive. Yo, Gio, what's going on, man? Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. Good to see you. Yeah, no, Persona 3 Portable is going to be interesting because I'm curious because there's like a hardcore following for that, right? And I'm wondering if it's just going to hold up, because I remember playing Persona 3 FES or FES, however you say it, and just kind of enjoying my time, but obviously going to Persona 4 after, it was like way better. But yeah, it was. I'm just really curious. And unfortunately, we're getting kind of the neutered version. We're getting the portable version where when you explore the different environments, it's sort of like you're just this dot clicking around, which is not super interesting. So yeah, I'm curious. I'm just so curious what people think. So the poll, again, people not super hyped about this. What? Oh, okay. Sorry. I got this weird pop-up from YouTube. It's like, now would be a good time for an ad. I've been live for like 15 minutes. Now is a terrible time for an ad. Anyway, yeah. So a lot of people not hyped. 58% no, 42% yes. Let's see what people are saying here. Arnaldo never played Persona. Gonna give it a try. So if you never played any Persona or just never played Persona 3, I'm very curious. Futago, yeah, not a fan. Alex already played FES on PS3. Interesting. That's right. They had PS2 games on PS3. I forgot about that. Let's see. Devron, I'm hyped for Persona 3 Portable, but there's rumors of a remake. That's right. I heard that today, that there's a lot of rumors going around for a remake. And I wonder if they're going to start doing what like Capcom is doing, is they're just going to go down the line and start remaking games. Because like a Persona 4 Golden remake would just be amazing. Just throwing in the character models from the dancing games and just going all out. I think that'd be really, really cool. Alex, yeah, the combat or the music and the combat carry that game. Yeah, the music is really fantastic. Yeah, really, really good. I think it has a really cool cast of characters too. I really dig the cast in Persona 3. It's diverse. And it gets really dark. And I know some people like that darkness. And obviously, like Persona and SMT deal with a lot of dark themes and dark, what's the right word? Moments and situations and things like that. So, yeah, no, I'm fascinated. Let's see that. Yeah, Dr. Level Up, the portable version doesn't appeal to me. Yeah, I really wish they could have like found a way to combine the two games, but that might have been too hard to like include the female protagonist of 3, but put that in FES and not have to deal with all that. But yeah, who knows? What's up, JG? Thanks for stopping by. They need to remake Persona 1. Interesting. Yeah, Persona 3 is dope. Definitely closer to how Persona was. Yeah, no, I mean, and that's the thing we have to appreciate about Persona 3, right? Is that it was the blueprint for the modern Persona games, right? It was the dating sim elements, the life sim aspects. Because Persona, if you go back and play Persona 1 and 2, I know a lot of people are like, oh, I want to go back and play Persona 1 and 2. They are just completely different games. They are just not the same games at all. There's no life sim aspect. It's just a pure dungeon crawler, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. But it's certainly not like the new ones at all. Yeah, the summons in Persona 3 where they're like shooting themselves in the head. Yeah, that's pretty wild. It still amazes me to this day that they got away with that. I don't want to like set off the YouTube bot, so I'm trying to like avoid the language of what happens there, but Yeah, no, very, very interesting. I definitely want to check this out because I haven't played Persona 3 in a really long time, and I never played the portable version with the female protagonist. And hey, like it's been 5 minutes here. The hype meter has swung into the yes, just barely for Persona 3 portable, 51% to 49. So yeah, we're gonna close it there, and it's 50-50. 50-50. You got a few more seconds. If you have any hype for Persona 3, get your votes in now. That's right. It's all coming to Game Pass. Yeah, I think people will probably be exposed to these games more now that they're coming to Game Pass. So that'll be really interesting. But yeah, we're going to end the poll there for Persona 3. It's tied. It ended with a tie. Yes, 50% yes, 50% no. All right. So moving on, Persona 3 Portable. Moving on to maybe one of the most hyped JRPGs of the year, Fire Emblem Engage. So let's get a poll going for that. Fire Emblem Engage. Hyped. So I don't know about you guys. Yeah, let's like the stream. We got 21 likes so far. If you're enjoying this idea, yeah, definitely drop some likes. Let's get some people in here. But yeah, no, the Fire Emblem Engage. I think this could be huge. Three Houses was the best-selling game in the franchise, obviously with the Switch being so prolific that I think that helped a lot. The 3 different storylines helped a lot. And this one it's interesting, right? Because it's doing a lot of fan service stuff with like, you can have these rings and you can bring past Fire Emblem characters back. It almost seems like a Warriors game where it was just like an all-star version of the game. And, okay, sorry, I'm looking at my bit rate here. Hold on, give me 1 sec. It says the stream is skipping, although I haven't dropped any frames, I don't think. So whatever. Anyway, yeah, and you can summon all these different characters, and they changed the art style. It was a little, I wouldn't call it dark in Persona in Three Houses, but like the time after it goes by the time skip, it definitely gets dark and everybody gets kind of edgy. But this one, it's like very cutesy, very like kawaii anime looking. Not that that's a bad thing. I actually really dig this new art style for this game. I'm curious what you guys think. Yeah, drop a comment. Let me know what you guys think of the new art style. And I know, I know people are not super thrilled with. Everybody calls her toothpaste Sean, with the Colgate striped hair and all that stuff. It's a very odd design. And apparently the artist or the character designer was it does a lot of VTuber designs, so that's interesting. But yeah, the mechanics of the bringing back the other Fire Emblem characters, where you have the ring, you can fuse and do super moves, but then it gives you like special abilities, like okay, you can move farther or do bigger heals and stuff like that. I'm really excited. I'm kind of the new wave of Fire Emblem fans. I started with Awakening, I think like most people did, and I've played every one since, even both Warriors games. I just love this franchise. So let's check out the poll right now. We got 52%. No, man, it's interesting how even this is. Obviously, One Piece was not, it was more on the negative side, but let's see what people are saying. Yeah, Futagu can't get over that character design. I totally know what you mean. Dr. Level Up never played a Fire Emblem. Yeah, it's an acquired taste for sure, especially like depending on if you want to play with the hardcore mode on where characters die. I get that. Yeah, Kathleen, cautiously optimistic. Gonna wait, have too much on your plate. Let's see. Not a big fan of Fire Emblem. Did not enjoy the last one. That's interesting. Turn-based Toddy did not enjoy Three Houses. That's one of the more popular ones. Enjoy a few character designs. The gameplay will be good, but low expectations. Yeah, overall, kind of negative. I'm kind of surprised. But what's really strange is I feel like Three Houses had more like hype going into it, and I don't know if that's because it had the benefit of like an E3 cycle or something beforehand, because I remember Engaged, I'm trying to remember when it got announced. I think it got announced after E3, and then it just never had like a hype cycle. So yeah, I feel like this one's just limping to release, even though they've been putting out a lot of videos, and I don't know. It just doesn't feel as big as Three Houses, and maybe it's because Three Houses was the return to console, right? It was on handheld for so long, so that could be it. Yeah, Dr. Level Up says, is the story good in these games? I thought the story in Three Houses was excellent. I went with the Blue Lions route. I didn't play the other ones, so I don't know how those play out. But I really enjoyed the Blue Lions route. I thought that was good. Let's see. I hope the new One Piece game's good. Yep. Yeah, no, and so so Rackin, we're gonna get to Granblue Fantasy. Just you hold your horses right there. Well, it's on this list. I think it's literally the last game I put on the list, and I don't mean to say that to tease you to keep you watching, but I was just going in order of release date and then alphabetical. But I do have some interesting information on Relink, so just kind of hang tight and we'll get there. But yeah, so that's Fire Emblem Engaged. I'm excited. I think when all is said and done, that's probably going to be a top 5 JRPG. When you know, at the end of the year. And then what's interesting is there was a lot of rumors going around that the next Fire Emblem game was going to be a remake of oh man, I can't remember this one. It was a Japan only one. Fire Emblem fans in the chat, help me out here. It was the one where you like constantly are going down your lineage, and you would be like, it would be one character and then you play the son after a time skip. Gosh, I can't remember this one. I did a whole retrospective on the entire franchise, and I can't remember this game. But we never got it in America or in the West, so nobody should know it. But there was rumors that they were going to remake that, so it's interesting that this came first. Genealogy of the Holy War, Acebreaker, thank you. Genealogy of the Holy War, that's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, yeah, that's the one. So I wonder if that's what we'll get next. If we get like an Echoes, right? If we get Fire Emblem Echoes, Genealogy of the Holy War. Yeah. So anyways, hype. Not there for Fire Emblem. I think a lot of it has to do with the character designs, and I can't blame people. It's the main character is very strange. So we'll end that poll right now. As far as I can actually let's see. There's the only one I can think of. Yeah, no, none of them have been positive hype so far. So we got a lot of people are cautiously optimistic here. I think this next one, I'd like to think people are hyped for this. But the next one we've got is Atelier Ryza 3. So let's get the poll going for Ryza. Atelier Ryza 3. Hyped. Okay. New poll for Ryza. So sorry, let me take a drink here. I'm getting parched. I'm yelling, I feel like. Okay. So I played the first Ryza and it was good. I've played like almost every Atelier game since Rorona. And it's really fascinating to see how they've progressed since then, because I think the first Rorona, or the first one, it was so basic. It was just like do quests that have to do with doing something with alchemy. It's like, hey, you need to make 10 of these items to get like your rank up or whatever. It was very basic. And so it's really interesting to see how they've progressed. And it's like, okay, then they got rid of the time limit, then they made it open world, and then they didn't make it open world, and then they brought the time limit. It was just kind of all over the place. And but with Ryza, I feel like they found a really great balance of like having a core story and just having it be more of a story-driven game rather than like a quest-driven game. And then I only played a very, very little of Ryza 2, so I'm not super familiar with like what's been happening in the last handful of releases. But this is the end of the trilogy, and as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not a super hardcore Atelier fan, but I don't think any games ever got a trilogy. Like, obviously they've had like the Dusk trilogy or the Arland trilogy, but they've never had like one character get their own trilogy. So, and obviously the character design has everything to do with it. She's filled out in all the right places without being too crass. But again, not a lot of hype. It's 50-50 right now. So let's see what you guys are saying. Yeah, Futago, last Atelier game you played was on PS2. Wow. Were they like, was that like Monokemia back then? Were they even technically Atelier games? Acebreaker, like the 1 and 2, excited for this. I'm down to try Ryza on 1 and 2, says JG. Hear good things. Thick thighs aren't enough to get me into the game. I hear you, Futago. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, it was for a lot of people, so they're gonna keep that thing rolling. Yeah, Waywolf says Atelier Sophie 2 was your favorite. A lot of people like Sophie 2. Let's see, Kathleen, need to catch up on my Atelier games. I know, not enough hours in the day. It's you know, Kathleen, as someone that has a JRPG centric channel and tries to review all of them, I don't have enough time to play them all either. So don't feel too bad there. Taro and Nalo, just being blunt and honest, Ryza is hot. I mean, there's a lot of hot JRPG waifus, and it's okay to admit that. We're a very inclusive group here. Let's see. Wish JRPGs would be more worldwide releases. I gotta say, that's a good point. Don't drop that ish. That's a really good point because I feel like they've been getting better, but even with like, let's think about like Persona 5, right? Like it came out, I want to say September 2016 in Japan, and then we didn't get it till April 2017, I think. And they're getting better. Like obviously Pokemon's worldwide. I think the new Final Fantasy is going to be worldwide. I think Atelier's worldwide. So I'm not sure what's going on with Atlas. They're kind of taking their time, and there's a lot of studios that are just kind of behind. And Persona is such a big franchise at this point. It's like, why would you not just work on it? And then like one of the most infamous ones, obviously, we'll get to. You want to talk about a studio's releases that are just way behind is freaking Falcom. We're playing Azure this year, and that game came out like 10 years ago. And then same with Reverie. I have no idea how long ago that came out. And I see you guys talking about Kuro in the chat. I mean, that may not be till 2025, as crazy as that sounds. But I just got to say this right now. Concurrent viewers, 69. Nice. Let's see. Yeah, Dr. Level Up, there's no way the next Persona isn't worldwide. I mean, I feel like they've got to be working in tandem. So I'm going to drop a little insider knowledge here. And I'm not going to reveal who told me this because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But if you guys remember, Atlas announced this game called Project Re Fantasy, like, I think the year Persona 5 came out. So I think they announced it in 2017. And so that was like the team that made Persona established a new studio under Atlas. And then they're like, we want to make a traditional fantasy game. Apparently there are already people on the Western branch of Atlas working on that game. And like, we haven't even seen gameplay of that. We've only seen concept art, but apparently there's already like Western people on the Western team working on that. So for anybody that was wondering, where's that Project Re Fantasy been? I mean, it's coming. People have already, they're working on it. Yeah, like Futago said, Falcom, the West is catching up for sure. Chain Echo's number 1 says Cineosis. Yeah, for sure. Chain Echoes is great. I'm gonna have a video actually this week talking about it, just because I wanted to do a review, and then the end of the year just kind of got crazy, but I feel like it's close enough to where we can oh god, I totally just lost my train of thought. I feel like it's been close enough to the release of Chained Echoes where people would still want to watch the review. But yeah, inside scoop, getting the scoops. I don't have a lot of them, but that's if this pops up on Siliconera tomorrow, that's fine. But Yeah, so I'm going to end the poll here for Ryza 3. The first positive hype check of the day. 54% of you are hyped. 45 of you are not. So Ryza 3, the thick thighs are coming in with the hype. All right, next one of my most anticipated JRPGs of the year, Octopath Traveler 2. I was so freaking excited. All right, we got to get a hype check for this. Octopath Traveler 2. I remember watching, I think it was a Nintendo Direct where they announced that. And I remember hearing the music. It was just like Square Enix, and then they had like vocals humming the main theme, and then it just kicked in. I was like, fuck yeah, Octopath Traveler 2, let's go. I'm so glad that they saw enough potential to do another one. And what I love about this one is the setting. Like, it seems to be this sort of like Edo era Japan, steampunk, Wild West. Like, I just love the setting. It's not like bland medieval fantasy. It's like a cool era. And the environments that they've shown look really, really neat. And finally, the thing that is exciting about this one is they're going to have an interconnected story, which was the biggest complaint about the first one, is that none of the stories just don't connect. And, they said, if you go to the end, there's like an extra dungeon, but I don't think that was what people were hoping for. They were hoping that somehow characters would be more intertwined and they would, talk to each other more and stuff like that. So this one, they like straight up in the trailer, it says intertwining stories. So who knows what that means specifically, but I'm so confident that they're gonna make it work. So the hype check, you guys are hyped for this game. This is the only one that I think is going to be like not close. So let's see what people are saying here. Michael Carley, day one. Futago, oh, that's definitely hype. Loved the first one. Rain, Rain, we're just getting started, buddy. We're nowhere close to being done. We're just getting started, my friend. Didn't play the first one because of the Switch. Do you think they'll release Octopath 1 on the PlayStation? It's funny that you asked that, JG. I'm kind of surprised they didn't, because Octopath went on PC and then Xbox. And you would think if anywhere it would be on PlayStation. So I'm really confused why they never released it on PlayStation, because like PlayStation is like the JRPG console. So I'm so confused why they never put Octopath Traveler, the first one, on there. Ooh, Acebreaker, it's a skip. I'm gonna say the Steelbook looks good. All right. Maybe if they fix the story, June Kiddo, yep. They've got to connect that story for sure. Let's see, Alex, the day before the Direct, me and my boyfriend were talking about how we hoped for Octopath Traveler 2. Yep. No, isn't that always fun? Like right before like an E3 or a Direct or a State of Play. I mean, State of Plays kind of suck, let's be honest. But, like stuff like that we can get a, like you have this prediction and then it comes true. There's nothing more fun than that. Because even you think of like the most outlandish things, right? My favorite was watching Michael Huber, and he's like, this was years ago, I think 2015 for E3. He's like, Shenmue 3. And we're like, dude, come on. And then it happened. He just lost his mind. So to me, I love seeing stuff like that. Let's see. Haven't played the first one. Didn't like the first one. Octopath has great music. Dude, the music in Octopath is amazing. Zyver, Octopath 2 is not a Switch exclusive, hence the PS5 box art. I believe it's coming out on everything now. So no exclusive console release, which is cool. Let's see, Nintendo Directs are the hypest online events, totally. And I feel like there's probably gonna be one by the end of the month, because you always hear rumblings and rumors, but a lot of times Nintendo Directs just come out of nowhere. And I think this one it'll be like, hey, tomorrow, new Direct. Because like, if you think about Nintendo, it's like they've got obviously Fire Emblem, which we talked about, and they've got Zelda in May, and then there's nothing as far as, exclusives from them. So it's like, obviously, we're waiting for Metroid Prime 4, waiting for the Metroid Prime collection. There's all kinds of stuff. Excuse me. People are hyped for Kuro in the chat. There's a lot of Kuro conversations. Ace Breaker saying the directs are usually in February. Yeah. No, you're probably, yeah, maybe you're right. But cool. Yeah, so Octopath 2, excited for the new classes, the new worlds, an interconnected story. This is one of my most anticipated games of the year for sure. So, since I got a Steam Deck, I only buy Switch exclusive mainly on Steam. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, so closing the poll here. This was a runaway winner for a hype check with Octopath Traveler 2. Everybody's hyped for this one. So we're going to end this one here. Far and away 66%. Let's keep track of that, chat. Let's make sure we don't forget. What right now the most hyped JRPG so far is Octopath Traveler 2 at 66%. Let's see if anything gets higher than that. I'm gonna do one more and then I really gotta pee. This is a game I was really not expecting to be hyped for, but I loved the first game last year, and I'm glad that we don't have to wait a really long time for the sequel, and that is Trails to Azure. Let's get a hype check. Oops, I'm typing a message in chat instead of a poll. Let's see. Trails to Azure. Hyped. Gay statue. My, what a handsome YouTuber. You would make a great stone statue. Oh, that's the comment of the night. Oh my God. That's hilarious. Oh, fuck. That's funny. Yeah, so Trails to Azure, man. You know, I think infamously, I am not the biggest Cold Steel fan. I played Cold Steel, and then I played it again when they got the remaster on PS4 with turbo mode, and I'm like, because I remember when I played Cold Steel, it was literally like I beat Persona 5, and then the day after I started Cold Steel. So maybe not a fair comparison, but that's what it was. And I played it on the Vita, and I'm like, I don't get this. Like, it's so slow. The story is so slow, and I don't care about anything that's happening. But with Zero last year, the story gets started right away. And the thing that I love is that you have your entire party at the very beginning of the game, and your party's not big, right? It's the four main characters, the special, whatever it's called, the special squad. Help me out in chat, the special force squad. I'm totally messing this up. I'm 2 beers deep. All right, go easy on me. But I just love that story. I love that they were there from the beginning. I love that you got to know the town of Crossbell super well. I love that you got to know the surrounding areas really well. And I think that helped me care more about what was going on. It wasn't these big grand scale stakes. It was just like these little things. It's like, hey, the mafia is kind of messing stuff up in town. We got to take care of these guys. There's this shadow organization that we got to take care of, because if we don't, then they're going to just run the town. And it was neat. And there's a lot of, I feel like, open plot threads that need to get resolved. And for those that played the Geofront release, please don't spoil anything, but I feel like there's a budding romance between Lloyd and oh God, not Ellie. There were like these like will they won't they moments, and then they never did. I'm like, oh come on, like just go for it. But and then like the turbo mode was just fantastic to be able to speed up that combat system and then slow it down if you really wanted to. But man, Zero was a pleasant surprise, and Azure is going to be the closure to that arc. It's only a 2-game series or 2-game arc, which is interesting. But yeah, let's see what people are saying here. Yeah, the hype check 56%, so not as high as Octopath 2, but people are hyped. So let's see what you guys are saying. Let's see. Yeah, Add 8 Chicken says, I want to play the Trail series, but it's a big commitment. I feel like that is the Achilles heel of this franchise. Is there's 9 games and you have to play them in order, and they're all interconnected, and you can't just start in the middle of nowhere. And I think that's a big problem for Falcom that they've done that, and it's cool for those that have been invested for over the long haul. It's really cool, especially what they did with Cold Steel 4. And you have all these characters, and we'll get into Reverie at some point, which is the epilogue to Cold Steel 4, and there's like literally 50 playable characters, which is insane. But no, I get you, man. It's a big commitment, and not just in the games you have to play, but they're all just so long. Let's see. Yeah, Dr. Level Up. I know you don't traditionally love it, but the game that has you hyped. Already played Azure, says Lane or Ian. Yeah, no, I know a lot of people already played the Geofront release, so this may be I'm trying to think of what the word would be. Not moot, but something. Let's see. Yeah, a lot of people are saying the Geofront release. 100% hype, says Miami Sunrise. I'll be done with Zero soon. Michael Carley says it's the anti-game for busy parents. I'm not sure what that means. Maybe drop a little explainer. Awesome Goku's playing it right now. Love to see it. Let's see. Never finished the Trail series. Special support section. Thank you, Dr. Level Up. Thank you. I was like, I knew it was like the SSS or something, but I couldn't remember what it stood for. Let's see, Futago streamed Cold Steel 1 and it drags. Yep, it totally does. That's what I love about the Crossbell games. People have said that that's the best arc in all of the Trails games, and I have to agree. I liked Sky, but I never played 2 because this was... I played it when it came out on the PSP, and then we had to wait like 4 or 5 years or whatever it was. And then by the time 2 came out, I just didn't care anymore. Turbo mode's a necessity on... Yeah, no, I hear you. Ooh, Oz is in the chat. Look out. The entirety of Trails Sky and 2 are Steam only. Yep. Let's see. Just want Sky game. Yeah. Dark Chaser saying, I wish Sky were on PS4 and Switch. So do I. I just don't think that's going to happen because the problem is in who has the ownership rights. I think Xseed still has the Sky games, and then Cold Steel 1 and 2, and then NAS America has Cold Steel 3 and 4, and then everything after that. So it's just a mess. I just don't think we're ever going to get all the games, unfortunately. Yeah, Futago saying the biggest draw is also its biggest drawback, which is true because it's like it reminds me like Cold Steel reminded me of Endgame in a way because it was like everybody coming together and stuff like that. But it's like, man, if you aren't invested, like you're gonna be so confused. So yeah, it's crazy. But man, we are flirting with 100 concurrent viewers, by the way. This is maybe the most I've had in a stream before, so I love that you guys are having fun with this idea. I've never done a chatting stream because usually it's like, oh, when you stream you got to play a game, right? But this is fun. I love just being able to talk to you guys and just hear your thoughts. Like I said though, I really do have to go to the restroom horribly bad, so I will be right back. There may or may not be an ad that plays, so I will be right back. Hello, we are back. I've never run an ad midstream before, so I have no idea how that worked. But I'm just gonna hang out for a second. You guys let me know if you can see me or not. So, but in the meantime, I will slowly start moving on to the next one. We're gonna close the hype check. 62% did not beat Octopath Traveler. Didn't quite beat it. So we're gonna end the poll there. Did well though, 62%. Oh, good. Okay, JG said there was no ad, so good. Cool. So that may be on the replay then, which is fine. So, anyways, moving on. Trails to Azure. There's more hype than not, but not all the way. Moving on to, I think this is a game that a lot of you aren't going to know about, but I think it's a game that I personally want to try to pump up and get more people to talk about. And that is called Loop 8 Summer of Gods. As I put up the hype check, let me know if you guys, just a simple yes or no, if you've even heard of this game. Because I think a lot of people haven't. Hyped. Dropping in the hype. Let's see. So Loop 8. What is this game? So Loop 8 is a game where you play as a Japanese high school student in a kind of sleepy seaside town in 1983, which is very interesting. Okay, good. We got a lot of people saying they don't know what this is. I love this. Okay, you know, I may bring up a trailer. I don't know how that's gonna work. Hold on. Let me see if I can add a trailer. Loop 8 trailer. Okay, I'm going to try to add this. Hopefully it doesn't destroy everything, but I imagine it will. Okay. Nope. Oh God, now we've got a big stupid thing in the way. Okay, that's not it. Oh my God. Let's see. Display capture maybe? Nope. All right. You may just have saw into infinity. Go check out my 60 JRPGs you can play in 2023 video that I put out, and just skip to that if you're not sure what this game is. But like I said, so it's like a slice. Oh God, I'm watching the delayed version where the stream goes into infinity. But anyway, so Loop 8 is a game, like I said, Japanese high school student, seaside town in Japan, but it's kind of like Persona, where there's this sort of like slice of life dating romance aspect to it. And then there's also a like combat aspect to this, because the main character has something called demon sight, and he can see demons and they're invading the world, I guess. But it's like it reminds me of like imagine if I'm trying to think of a good slice of life romance anime. I want to say Clannad, but that is sad, and I don't know if this is going to be sad. But imagine like a happy slice of life anime, but then there's combat in it. So that's what this game's going to be. The cover looks like Your Name. No, totally. I'm guessing that no's in the hype is because people don't know what it is. Let's see. Liking what Dr. Level Up says, liking what you've seen of it. Let's see. There's somebody that's got a name that is like Yassassis with 2 umbrellas. I have no idea how to pronounce that. I'm going to say Umbrella Man. Don't know it. Don't know it. Okay, good. Oh, okay. So JG says he can see the demons, but no one else can. That's cool. So yeah. So for those of you who don't know what this is, go look up a trailer, or go look up my 2023 JRPGs video, and I think that'll be a good explainer for what it is. But to me, this is like a total Taylor game. I love these types of games. I have some weird obsession with like the beach, seaside towns, cozy Japan settings, slice of life stuff. So this is totally my type of game, and I know it won't be. Yeah, Zypher, can I play the trailer? I don't know how to do it. I should have set this up beforehand. I should have set it up beforehand in the before I started the stream, and I apologize. I'm going to be streaming more, by the way. So this is not going to be like a one-off random thing. I'm going to be streaming more, and I'll tell you guys why soon. I can't say why just yet, but yeah, going forward, I'll fix that so we can pull up trailers if we need to. But unfortunately, I just don't want to wreck the chat. I just don't want to wreck the stream. Yeah, Acebreaker is definitely going into Hidden Gems list for sure. Here's what I'm going to do too. I mean, obviously don't click away the stream, please. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a link to the trailer in chat so you guys can go watch it. But yeah, don't click away. We got so many more JRPGs to go.
Maybe it's not history.
Yeah, like Kathleen, yeah, the next time I'll figure it out. But alas, not a lot of hype for Loop 8. Not totally unexpected, especially since a lot of you guys were saying that didn't know what it was. Switch only. I don't think it's Switch only. Yeah, I'm looking at the end of the trailer right now, and it's on Xbox One, weirdly enough. Yeah, so Xbox One, PS4, Switch, possibly PC. Yeah, Switch, PS4, Xbox, PC. Yep. And they're calling it a coming-of-age RPG. So, that's a pass for me. I get it. It's, like I said, it's a total Taylor game. Not everybody's going to like it. I know this is going to be for a select audience for sure, but I am totally in that audience. So we'll close this poll. Not a lot of hype, which I don't blame you guys. Octopath Traveler at 66%, still in the lead. So just as a frame of reference, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more to go. And then at the end, we'll just kind of free chat it. And if you guys have something that that I didn't bring up, we'll talk about it. So bye-bye, Loop 8. Hello, maybe the most highly anticipated JRPG that we're going to talk about tonight, and that is Final Fantasy 16. So hype check poll for that. Final Fantasy 16. Hyped. This one may overtake it. This one may overtake Octopath Traveler, but who knows? Let me take a little swig. But Final Fantasy 16, I have all the faith in this game because it is being produced by Naoki Yoshida, the producer of Final Fantasy 14 Online. He just totally revived that game. It was in the dumpster. Like, they had to keep is this an indie game? Yes, Mr. Boyhuman. It's an indie game. It's a little indie game, a little hidden gem that not a lot of people know about. But you know, if you guys want to know just how much of a badass Yoshi P is, NoClip did a documentary on kind of the fall and rise of Final Fantasy 14. And he just has a lot of these candid moments. And he even says, like, I'm going to say this, and I don't know if marketing is going to cut this or the PR team is going to cut it and not let it be in the documentary. But he said something to the effect of, like, during the PS2 era, they were like swordsmiths, and they would handcraft everything from scratch, and they were just masters of their craft. But when technology evolved in the PS3 era, and a lot of these engines could do a lot of the heavy lifting, they were still doing everything by hand. And he said that, like, during the PS3 era and even in the beginning of the PS4 era, they were like really prideful, and they like weren't really willing to like get up to speed. And for those of you OG JRPG fans, the PS3 era was dark. Like, that was a bad time to be a JRPG fan. It was like, maybe if you're into Final Fantasy 13, Ni no Kuni, I mean, technically Persona 5's on PS3, but that was like way after the fact. But like, I could count on one hand like the good PS3 JRPGs. Like, there's a couple Tales games that were good, but for the most part, it was just a wasteland. There was so much garbage that generation. And like, with Final Fantasy 15, they were kind of getting on the right path. Obviously, they were kind of working with the scraps of what that game was, when it was Versus 13. But with 16, it's like, we're going back to basics. We're making it fantasy. We're, doing it right. And now I know a lot of people are upset that it's action combat, which I just think that's where we're at now. I just don't think Final Fantasy is going back to turn-based. If you want turn-based, we got Octopath Traveler. We got games like that. Like, I just think that's what they're doing. They're like, hey, turn-based is over here, but Final Fantasy, we just, we have to stay modern, and that's what people want. But I'm excited, man. This game looks so sick. Like, really involving they're calling them icons in this game, the summons, like a big part of the story. It's pretty dark. Yeah, it just looks fantastic. And you guys are hyped. 78%. I don't see that going down. Yeah, but let's see. Let's see what people are saying. Fire. Yep. Easy yes. DMC meets Final Fantasy meets Game of Thrones meets Attack on Titan. Oh my god, that's a lot of meeting. Zypher, a little hesitant. Hype or incoming disappointment? Hyped, but no PS5. I think that's the other thing that may hurt this, is that PS5s are still kind of hard to find. Although it's not coming out till June 22nd, so we got some time. But yeah, we got some Yoshi P greatness. Darth Lobo, is Loop 8 the press R2 to hold hands? No, but we are going to talk about that game in a minute, so we'll get to that one. Futago, I'm with you on this. I want to see more of the world and exploration. They've shown like this much of the world, and I want to see the towns. I want to see how you explore. I mean, in the last trailer they played at the Game Awards, there's like a split second where they're riding chocobos, and then there's like a split second where he's like running in front of this like archway in a big city, and that's it. And it's like, no, I want to see the world. I want to see what we're doing here. So yeah, no, I'm with you. I want to see more of the world. Is it bad that Final Fantasy is a JRPG that didn't really hook me? Final Fantasy is not for everybody. Everybody's got their own different styles, and that's what's really cool about the genre, is like you can go all the way to the far end of AAA realistic graphics, although I feel like Final Fantasy still plays with and toys with like anime inspired stuff. Like, if you play the Final Fantasy 7 remake, that game's that's got anime written all over it. I mean, the physics and the things they're doing in that game are just not realistic, even though the character models are kind of photorealistic. Ooh, Zahid Adams, hype overload. Day one. 16 needs to rise to the level of 7 and 10. Imagine what a sensation it would be if Square announced that the next mainline would be turn-based. I heard a funny rumor, or not a rumor, it was like a fan theory that Octopath Traveler was going to be Final Fantasy 16. That would have been wild, because it was called, I remember when we all heard it, like Project Octopath Traveler. This is what a stupid name. But that would be wild. Like, if they did like an HD 2D game and they like said Project whatever, and then like they flipped it and it's like Final Fantasy 17, that would be interesting. Like, I don't know if they're going to do that anytime soon. Maybe with like Final Fantasy 20 or something like that. I mean, we're so far away from that, but yeah. Let's see. We're still talking about PS3 JRPGs a little bit. Fine with the 9 remake not being turn-based, as Morgan. Yeah, the 9 remake. I'll be talking about that in a video over the next week, because there's the rumors. What's up, Brian? Final Fantasy Tactics, dude. we're getting that remaster this year. It was on the GeForce Now leak. It's happening, man. It's gonna happen. It's just a matter of time at this point. I mean, we got Tactics Reborn, we got all kinds of stuff. So it's happening. It's just a matter of time at this point. Let's see. Square will keep turn-based to Dragon Quest. Although, it's funny you say that, JG. I think Dragon Quest 12 might have some action elements. They haven't shown much outside of the logo, but I want to say they said that they are changing up the combat or something. They were very vague about how they were what they were saying, but I believe they said something to the effect that they were going to change the gameplay. But that's one of my predictions for this year. I don't think we're going to see Dragon Quest 12 at all. I know people were saying like, "Oh, it's coming." It's like they shared a logo. Like we're another year or two away from that game, I think. Yeah. So anyway, good hype check on Final Fantasy 16, 77%. That is the new standard. Closing the poll down, moving on, or 76% according to the final vote, although there's a percentage missing somewhere. I don't know how this is calculating that, but yeah, 16 obviously looks amazing. Looking forward to more. And Yoshi P we trust. So we talked about this one earlier. Going to talk about it again. Trails into Reverie. Let's get a hype check for this. Trails into Reverie. So Trails into Reverie is, as I said, it's the it's the epilogue to the no, it's not even Erebonia. Maybe is it the Erebonia arc? I don't even know what you'd call it. The modern Trails arc, the last 9 games, the 3 Sky games, the 2 Crossbell, the 4 Cold Steel. It takes place 5 months after Trails of Cold Steel 4, and there's 3 protagonists, which is interesting. So you have Lloyd Bannings, who is the Crossbell, the protagonist in the Crossbell games. You have Reen, who was in the Cold Steel, and then we've got C, who is like a new character. So I don't know anything about C, but yeah, I think that will be. I think it's going to be a good game. Now, I want to review this and I want to play it, if nothing else, because I like the special support section, the Crossbell team. I love those characters, and they're prominently shown in the trailer. So I'm curious to see how their story finishes out in this epilogue, and to see Crossbell realized in an updated 3D way. Because like you play Zero in Azure, and we're looking at almost like a PS1 game almost. So to see it fully updated and looking awesome, I think that's really cool. But I gotta be honest, I don't know much about the story of Reverie. I don't really know what's happening story wise. But again, if you're a Trails fan and you're invested, like there's no way you're missing this game, right? I mean, it's the 9th game in the story arc. I mean, if you're 8 games deep, why not go with 9? You know, why not just go all the way with it? And they said in the trailer there's 50 playable characters, which is insane. That's just insanity. But yeah, hype check, not quite as high as 16, but still high at 66%. We got Dark Chaser, my most hyped for 2023. Awesome Goku, yes, let's go. Acebreaker, only gonna buy it because you already played it. Did you import it from Japan? Is that what happened? Yeah, it's also hard to be hyped if you haven't caught up, because I mean, let's just say this right now: there's no way you start with this game. You don't just start with a 9th game in the series. Yeah, you have to have kind of played it, or else none of it's going to make sense and none of it's going to matter, and you're not going to care about anything. Acebreaker, the 10th game. So I got 3 Sky games. I have 2 Crossbell games. I have 4 Cold Steels. Oh, you're right. It's the 10th game. You're right. You're right. Someone can't do math. Yeah. God. 10th. It's the 10th game. Mickey, I'm only on the 3rd game so far away. Yeah, there's a lot of games to catch up on. Okay, so there's already an English patch for Reverie. Okay. Now, thankfully, this game's not come out until the summer. I mean, God knows what's going to come out between now and then, but we got some time. You know, if you haven't caught up, I mean, if you start today, you might be able to finish in time. I mean, like if the games were, let's just say an average of 40 hours each, and that's probably underselling it. You know, you're looking at like 350 hours of gaming. Tomato, how many Trails games do I have to play before this? You have to play 9, my friend. You have 9 games that you need to play. So either get to playing or you'll just play it when it comes out. Yeah. So yeah, Cold Steel's longer. Cold Steel 1 is longer. Same with Cold Steel 3. It's pretty long. And then even on turbo mode, Azure and Zero are pretty long. So we might be looking at closer to like 400 hours, which is insanity. But yeah, no, I think this is going to be a good game. I think people are obviously, this is one of the more hyped games of the evening. It's positive. You know, it's kind of funny to see this kind of slowly move towards more hyped than not. Mr. Boy Human, what's faster? Playing all 9 Trails games or catching up with One Piece? Oh, shoot. That's a great question. Honestly, probably Cold Steel. I have no idea. I mean, there's like 1,000 episodes of One Piece. See, and they're 30 minutes each. So like, what is that? 500 hours minimum. And I'm probably missing something. So yeah, weirdly enough, Cold Steel, but all right, we'll close the hype check on this one. 64%. That's pretty good. One of the higher ones of the evening. Okay, there we go. I was waiting for it to close. I was like, where did it go? But all right, moving on. Here's another one. I think this is going to be a dark horse. Maybe not anymore. I think in years past this would have been a dark horse, but I think enough people know about this one now. Sea of Stars. This is a Sea of Stars hype. This was made by the team that made The Messenger, which is a totally different genre. But it's amazing that they're able to kind of hop genres like that, because The Messenger was like starts as a 2D platformer and then shifts into a Metroidvania at some point. But this is like a 16-bit throwback JRPG. The visuals, oh God, they look just unbelievably good. They look so good. Weirdly enough, even though it's like a pixel art game, they're doing something with lighting. And I don't know how they're doing this with lighting in a pixel game. It must be the way that their engine works or something, but it looks amazing. And then the combat, they're doing like, I watched a lot of the dev diary stuff and like a lot of the trailers. I guess the way the combat works, it reminds me a lot of, I wanted to say Legend of Dragoon, but I think Super Mario RPG might be a better way to describe it, where there's a lot of timing based stuff. So like one character has like a boomerang, right? So they'll throw a boomerang and then it comes back to you. And if you hit the button at the right time, it'll bounce to another enemy and it just keeps going until you either mistime it or it runs out. And I think there's blocking. There's stuff with blocking where you can, if you hit block at the right time, it does a lot of damage or it prevents a lot of damage. But yeah, obviously, and then Yasunori Mitsuda, the composer for Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross, and Xenoblade, is doing the music. So it's like, my God, gorgeous visuals, unique combat. The music's going to be amazing because Mitsuda like never misses. So man, I just think I think this could be maybe the best reviewed game on this whole list by the end of the year. Just because, like, I feel like with some of the bigger RPGs, right, there's a lot of expectations going into it. Like with Final Fantasy 16, right, I think there's a lot of expectation. I feel like that, as someone who reviews a lot of games, I feel like expectations really dictate your view of the game. And so with Sea of Stars, I think people just either they don't know about it or they're not expecting much because this team's never made a they've never made an RPG before. So it's like, why would they be? But I think I just think this, from everything I've seen, I think these guys know what they're doing. Journey Trials and Joy with the super chat. I'm trying to get back into gaming. Should I get a PS5 or a Steam Deck for the moment? That's a great question. It depends on, I think it depends on a couple things. I think it depends on, one, your budget, because PS5 is probably going to be more expensive, or maybe not. I guess it depends on how big you want the storage to be. But I'll say you probably have a deeper catalog on Steam. There's probably more games that you can play on Steam, and you can probably get them for cheaper too. The PS5 doesn't. There's like right now, there's no exclusive JRPGs. You're basically dealing with the backlog from PS4, which has some like stuff like the PS2 HD games that they ported up, and then sometimes they even have like freaking like the PS3 games that you can stream, which are just garbage. But of the two, I would say right this very second, I would say Steam Deck, just because you have a deeper backlog. And you can probably get the games cheaper. There's just not. I think PS5s are hard to find right now, and there's just no exclusives. There's like none. So unless you want the better performance, that would be the only reason, I think, is if you really value frame rate. But that's just my opinion. That's my 2 cents. But I appreciate the super chat, man. Thank you so much. So yeah, let's keep reading some comments here. Yeah, Javon says, been compared to Chrono Trigger and Super Mario RPG for sure. Let's see. Yeah, Tomato, Chained Echoes and Sea of Stars is exciting. Indie JRPGs. Man, the indie JRPGs lately have been killing it. And there's some good ones too, I think, that I had on the list. And there's some I forgot too, which is amazing. I had 60 games on the list and there's some I forgot somehow. Yeah, there's some great ones for sure. Let's see. Expectations rarely add up to the actual experience. It distracts from it most of the time. That's a great point, Alex, because I gotta say, from the end of the PS3 era into the beginning of the PS4 era, I was so guilty of just overhyping everything. Brian, I don't know if you're still in the chat, but he may recall that I remember when they revealed Final Fantasy 14 or 15, excuse me, I literally watched that trailer every single day for like a year, because I was like, oh my God, they're finally doing this. Like, there's that scene where he jumps through the window and rolls and there's water going everywhere, and it was just amazing. So, but I have really tampered that down. I don't get as hyped as much. So Alex, I think that's a really great perspective. It's like, I think you can tell at a quick glance, like, I'm going to like this game. And then I'm just not going to watch the trailers. And then Journey Trials and Joy with another super chat. It's sad to see old RPG or JRPG not being remade for newer generations, like the Tales games. How do you see the future of RPG games moving forward? No, great question. I mean, I think it'll be a combination of the remasters. Especially Square, they've been doing a lot of remasters, and even Bandai Namco to an extent. Brian, I do remember the 15 trailer. Okay, good. But like, I think those remasters just print money. So I think we're probably going to continue to see remasters, like with Tales games. Like, so there was a remake to Tales of Destiny, which was a PS1 JRPG, and we never got the remake in the West. And so I think that there was rumors going around that there was going to be a Tales of Destiny HD collection. So there was going to be the remake. And then I know that in the West, it's called Tales of Destiny 2, but it's actually called Tales of Eternia. And there was actually a Tales of Destiny 2 in Japan that we never got. So I wouldn't be surprised if we got that. I think we're due. Like, they're re-releasing the Tales of Symphonia remaster for a second time, which is weird. I'm really surprised that they did that. And it seems like they're not doing much to it either. It doesn't even run at 60 frames. They're pulling the 360, or not the 360, the PS3 version, which ran at 30 frames. So I think we're going to continue to see remasters. I think Square is going to milk that HD 2D visual style for all it's worth, because it's cool. And I think people are digging it. Like, we got a remake to Live Alive. Like, what the hell? Like, no one was expecting that. So I think Square is going to continue playing with that HD 2D formula. And they're going to do stuff like Bravely Default. And, I think they're going to continue playing with that. And I think Atlas finally saw the light by releasing Persona 4 Golden on PC, and it's selling like 1 million copies like that. So I think we're going to get a lot of remasters. The remakes are harder, right? Because, like, think about what it took, like Final Fantasy 7, right? They're having to make 3 games, because the way JRPGs worked back in the day it was that world map that kind of represented the game, but wasn't really the game. And then all the environments were pre-rendered, meaning they're essentially a still image that you're walking over. And so to remake those is just harder now. So I don't know if we're going to get a lot of remakes. I'm still holding out for a Legend of Dragoon remake, especially now that Sony bought Bluepoint. I think that would be really cool. But anyway, we're getting way off track. But yeah, Sea of Stars. I think this game looks amazing. Indie's doing a great job. Yeah, no, I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's just going to be awesome. And I just, what I'm hoping for? Here's what I'm hoping for. So, like, we're getting a lot of like 16-bit throwback games. What I want are like PS1 throwbacks. And what I mean is like that low poly look, like think Mega Man Legends. I want throwback games that look like that. And I know that sounds weird and it doesn't sound that appealing, but for me, that's nostalgic to me. That is so nostalgic. Those like really janky early 3D games. But I feel like of all of them, Mega Man Legends did it the best. Like, you go back and look at PS1 games, maybe Final Fantasy 9, but to me, I feel like Mega Man Legends did the most with what was possible on the PlayStation 1. But yes, Sea of Stars, I think this is second place, 67%. 77 was Final Fantasy 16, and then Sea of Stars were at 67. So a lot of hype there. A lot of hype. And speaking of Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. I don't think this is coming out this year. 7 Rebirth. Hyped. Rebirth. Nope, that's not it. Rebirth. There we go. So I put it on the list because Square said, next winter. And it reminds me of when they announced God of War for 2020 and nobody believed them. I think that they may make it, right? But it's like, do you want 2 big AAA Final Fantasies in the same year? Not that matters, really. It's like, if they're done, like, who cares? But I see that slipping to like January, February, March. I just don't think it's coming this year. The only thing that gives me a glimmer of hope is that Final Crisis Core, they said winter, and nobody believed them that it was going to come out this year, but it did. Came out in January, and it was incredible. People really enjoyed it. So that is the only glimmer of hope I have, that maybe it comes out, but I don't think so. I just don't think so. But regardless, this reminds me, this is like a moment kind of like The Last Jedi. And what I mean by that is it's like, okay, we had our retreading the same ground, but now it's all new, right? So I hate to spoil this for you, but if you did not play a remake, the title of that game has a double meaning. Yes, it's a remake of Final Fantasy VII, but literally the characters in the game are remaking their own destiny. Like there's those ghost characters, right? And I remember I played the game, and as soon as I finished it, I was like, what the hell was that? Like I didn't like it. But as I watched more discussions and I pondered it more, I'm like, oh, this is neat. This is cool. And so now that they've beat Fate, and when the game ends, literally the game ends and it says the unknown journey will continue. And so all bets are off now. They can do whatever they want. Now, they also did say that they're going to, a lot of the familiar story beats and elements that you would anticipate from this point forward in the Final Fantasy VII journey will happen. Because, like, why would they change it, right? Like, if you think about what the fans' expectation is, like, oh, the next point is Calm, and then the Chocobo Farm, and then Fort Condor. If you decide to go there, it's optional, and you go to Junon Harbor. But anyway, it's like, why would they just destroy it and make it totally different? The whole point is to be nostalgic about Final Fantasy VII and recreate these moments in just beautiful ways. And while they did a lot of new things in Remake, the things that they recreated with modern technology were just unbelievable. Like, the opening cinematic makes me cry every time I play that game. I just replayed it over the Christmas break, and just that opening scene when it swings down to Aerith looking at the live stream, and then it zooms out to the city and it plays that song. I'm just like, oh my God, man, that just unbelievable stuff. And like Wall Market, like, you want to talk about adding things and making it better than the original? Like, Wall Market was the best part of that game. And so for me, I'm thinking of Rebirth. I'm like, the gold saucer is the new like thing I'm waiting on. It's like, okay, I see what you did with Wall Market. Can you do the same thing with the gold saucer? Because me personally, that's what I'm most looking forward to in this next part of the remake, is the gold saucer. Because I'm like, I've played Final Fantasy VII so many times, I can picture it in my head. So it's okay. So we go to Calm, we do the flashback, go to the Chocobo Farm, we go to the Materia Cave. Fort Condor is optional. We go to Junon Harbor. We go to Costa del Sol, Then we go to, technically you go to Gold Saucer next, and then you go to Corel Prison, and then you go back to Gold Saucer. So I think we'll hit Gold Saucer in the next game, just because we're going to run out of time if you don't make it that far, because there's only one more game after that. But I just, after what I saw in the remake, I'm just so looking forward to what they do. And they're adding all the rest of the cast, right? Because Yuffie's obviously going to join the party right away. They added the DLC with Yuffie. And then the next character would be, I'm trying to think, it would have to be Vincent, right? No, Cait Sith. Cait Sith would be at the Gold Saucer. And then Vincent, who is an optional character who will obviously not be optional here, but you go to Nibelheim, he'll be there that you can grab, and then Cid in Rocket Town. As I think about it, I don't think Cid's going to be in part 2, because I did a predictions video after part 1 came out, and I was like, here's what I think is going to happen in part 2. I think the game stops at Nibelheim. I think that's where part 2 ends. Yeah, so I think that's where it's going to end. So Journey Trials and Joy says, do you think we'll ever get a Final Fantasy Versus game? When you say that, because there technically were games called Final Fantasy Versus, it was Final Fantasy Versus 13. Do you mean like a fighting game? Because we have Air Guys. For everybody that forgot about Air Guys, we do have Air Guys. We have Dissidia. We've got quite a few Dissidia games. So those are Versus games. Did I say Nibelheim? I meant Nibelheim. But yeah, so the hype check's high, 71%. Enough rambling from me. Let's see what you guys are saying here. Bloodborne demastered. Never beat OG7, but loved remakes as Acebreaker. Interesting. They're making a sequel to that new Zack game already. Craftium, funny guy. Funny guy, that Craftium. He said Square Enix said next winter, and that could be fiscal year 2024. It's true, Futago. Yeah, Detroit said 2024. A lot of people are saying 2024. I think that's true. Ooh, Dr. Level Up, that's true. They did the Fort Condor minigame in the Yuffie DLC, and that was odd. Not because it was unwelcome, but it was like, why would you put that in now? I mean, there's a whole zone. There's like a whole village dedicated to that minigame. So it would be odd that it was just so odd that they put it in early, and maybe they'll make it even bigger and more fleshed out in part 2 if you even go to Fort Condor. I said this myself. I feel like they could just totally cut Fort Condor, which may upset people, but the fact that they included the minigame, I'm torn, right? Because the fact that they included the minigame in intermission is like, hey, you want a Fort Condor? Here's the minigame. You got it. By the way, we're not doing that in part 2 because it has almost zero story relevance. Because if you think about it, the only thing you do in Fort Condor that has anything to do with the main story is at the end of disc 2, when you're collecting the huge materia, you have to do the battle there to get the huge materia. I think that's the only story relevant thing you do at Fort Condor. So to me, I feel like, again, if they totally cut it, wouldn't surprise me at all. He says, can't wait for Sid. Dude, that guy was he's a nut, man. He's just a sailor mouth. He was my favorite, like, party member because his limit break did the most damage outside of Omnislash. So I love Sid. I'm excited for him. Yeah, Dr. Level Up, the way they did Wall Market was awesome. 100% agree. JG, Square's killing it right now, and so is Capcom. Got to give props to Capcom. Capcom is killing it right now. They're doing awesome. Between the Monster Hunter games, the Resident Evil remakes, even Resident Evil 8. I don't talk about horror games like ever, but I am a huge Resident Evil fan, and that DLC for Resident Evil 8 was unbelievable. There's this... I almost hate to ruin it. I don't want to ruin it, but there is this just unbelievably frightening moment because it warns you. It's like it sort of tells you what's about to happen. And I'm like, that's not going to happen. And then you're kind of like walking around. I'm like, oh my god. And then I remember looking up reactions to it online, and people were like, oh, screw that. I'm not. For anybody that's played the Shadow of Rose DLC or whatever it's called, know what I'm talking about, but man, that was just horrifying. Capcom's got some JRPGs under the belt, right? Like Breath of Fire. I'm sad that we're probably never going to get another Breath of Fire. Like, I know Dragon's Dogma 2 is coming, which is interesting. I don't count it as a JRPG. Technically it is. It's a Japanese role-playing game, but it's like a Western style game made in Japan. I need to make a video about this because every time I make a video, people are like, oh, that's not a JRPG. That's not a JRPG. We need to come up with some kind of definition that we can all agree on. Let's see. Mahi, I know exactly where it ends. Can't wait for Bugenhagen. Dude, Bugenhagen's going to be awesome, man. I can't wait to go to Cosmo Canyon. I think that's going to be a huge part of the game. Okay, so Crafty, and what's going to happen with Aerith? That's the big question, right? That is the big question with Rebirth. Are they going to do that with Aerith? And they even teased it because recently they said, oh, is that big event going to happen in Rebirth? You're just going to have to find out. So I think they've got something up their sleeve. And to me, Aerith is the most intriguing character going into part 2. Because with hindsight, knowing what happened in part 1 and reflecting on that and watching what the ghosts are doing and what Aerith is saying, I'm like, okay, this is interesting. I remember there's a moment where she goes to rescue Marlene in part 1, and she touches her, and it does that like static thing, like when Cloud kind of is losing his mind, and then Marlene kind of looks scared and kind of steps away, and then Aerith is like, shh, don't say anything. So Aerith's got something up her sleeve that she's not telling us. And I think she knows what happened. And here's a little bit of insight, too. Sephiroth is Sephiroth from Advent Children. And what I mean by that is he's obviously not there, right? Because every time Sephiroth shows up, he takes over somebody's body. Those the clones with the hoods with the numbers. Anytime he shows up, he's like possessing one of them and taking them over. And so like when he shows up and he actually physically interacts with the party, Cloud grabs his right arm, and that's the arm he had Geostigma with in Advent Children. And Sephiroth's wing, like when you see his feathers fall, they're black. They're only black in Advent Children. So this is like some weird, this is not the Sephiroth we know. And I almost feel like that's the same thing with Aerith. I feel like Aerith is like from another timeline, or I think she knows what's going to happen. And Futago, we talked about this at some point too, that every time the ghosts touched her, she was like slowly losing her memories and stuff. So, so let's see. Oh, okay. So Trials and Joy. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to ignore your super chat here. So, the True versus the Numora version. And thank you again for the super chats, man. I really appreciate you donating to the stream today. So will we ever get verses? We kind of did. For those who played the DLC for Kingdom Hearts 3 might remember that there is that oh god, what the heck was that thing called? The fake game in Kingdom Hearts 3. What the heck was it called? Verum Rex. Okay. So in Kingdom Hearts 3, there's this game that you find, like when you go into the Toy Story world, this super high quality cutscene kicks up, and it's for this game called Verum Rex. And it's just it's a game within the world of Kingdom Hearts 3. But then in the DLC, they do this thing where they play a cutscene from Verum Rex, and it's I'm not even exaggerating. It's literally shot for shot the trailer of Versus 13, like him in the car, him looking out at the city, a zoomed out shot, like it's shot for shot Versus 13, like just straight up. So I feel like they did do Versus 13. Now, whether or not we do get a Verum Rex game, I don't know. Maybe that will play into Kingdom Hearts 4 a little bit. So to answer your question, we kind of did, and maybe we'll get it in Kingdom Hearts 4. That's where I feel. Anyway, I've been blabbering way too much about Versus or Rebirth. I think this is the longest the hype timer's been on for. Not quite as hyped as 16, 72%, but it's number 2. So we're gonna close that. Yeah, and then a couple people I'm seeing, like, where does Zack fit in Rebirth? That's the big question, right? Because if you played Intermission, Zack's in that also. So there's a lot of questions with Zack. I'm so curious what they do with him in Rebirth. All right. Yes. So JG, to answer your question, Versus 13 was what Final Fantasy 15 turned into. Yes. Let's see. Morgan, did you pull Octopath 2? We did. If you want to scroll up, I don't remember. I think it was 66%. It was, yeah. And, it's funny that you say that, Dr. Level Up. I was really hoping they would add some kind of new ending or something to tie in with Remake, but they didn't do that with Crisis Core, which is a bummer. Yeah. So moving on, we got a few more that I might continue to blabber on about, but next one, Blue Protocol. Let's get a hype check on this one. Protocol. Whoops. I gotta be honest. This smells like another Genshin Impact, and I don't mean that in a negative way. Sorry, I need a refresh. I say that in the sense of I think this game's going to be huge. I think this is going to be huge in the way that Genshin Impact was huge and nobody expected it. It looks like a huge budget. And Amazon Games is, I don't know if they're localizing it or they're helping publish it or something, but Amazon is involved in this. And the hype check really low. I think this is the lowest it's been for any game so far. Okay. This is one of those games as hardcore OG JRPG fans, right? Like I know all you guys in the chat, right? Dr. Level Up, Mahi, Craft, Kathleen, like all of us are like old school, longtime JRPG fans. We want the story driven, amazing games, but the masses want stuff like Genshin Impact. Like this is what the normies want. And I'll admit I'm a normie. I love Genshin Impact. It's awesome. It's a great game. I had fun with it. And I think Blue Protocol is going to be, I don't know if it's going to be as big, but I think it's going to be pretty big. I think it's going to be pretty big. But what's cool about it is you can create your own character. Like, I don't know if you guys have looked up character creator videos, but they're like insane, like the detail you can put on it. There's a huge variety of classes. The world is gigantic. I just think it's going to be awesome. Craft, the normies are dumb and we should burn them. Oh, God. Dina, what'd you miss? We're about halfway through. We got a few more to go. But if you scroll up, you can kind of see some of the games. We talked about Fire Emblem. We talked about Final Fantasy. We talked about a couple hidden gems that some people might not know about. Talked about Trails. Dr. Level, the game's out in Japan. I think it's in beta in Japan. And I feel like it's been in beta in Japan for a long time because I've been following this game for what feels like 2 years. And for a while, they were like, oh, we're not going to bring it to the West. I don't know, maybe. And I just feel like for a game this big, you almost have to have it release outside of Japan. Because I just don't think, unless it's a mobile game, just releasing a game in Japan is not, I just don't think they can make their money back at this point. Yeah. So have we done Granblue Fantasy? No, we have not. That is the last game on the list. I'll just say that right now for anybody that wants to hang out and make sure we talk properly about Granblue Fantasy. That is the last game on the list. Futago, I apologize for keeping you up late. I rambled way too much on Final Fantasy, but yeah, so we I think Blue Protocol is going to be cool, and it's free to play, I think. And I don't know what that's the one question mark. I don't know what the monetization model is, and that could be the downfall. Now, personally, I'm okay with battle passes, and I know not everybody is, but it's like if I can just enjoy the game and then I pay for the battle pass, and that gives me like cosmetic stuff, and that's what it sounds like the monetization model is in Blue Protocol. It's monetization stuff. Obviously, the gear you get will change you visually, but there might be like I forget what they call it in WoW, but like you have a costume that goes over your armor, and that's what you visually look like. So that may be the model, but so hopefully it's not too egregious. Because even like with Genshin Impact, I put so much time into it. I'm like, what's $10 here and there? I mean, I would have gladly paid $60, and I don't think I ever paid more than $60 for that game. I probably put in over 100 hours. So to me, the way they got into it, it was totally fine by me. But I know not everybody agrees. Obviously, whenever I make a Genshin Impact video, people, the comments are always negative. Transmog, Ramster, thank you. Yeah, Transmog. I think there might be some transmog element in Blue Protocol. But you know, I think us hardcore fans may resent this game, but I think this could be a huge hit. I could be wrong. But I have a funny feeling that this game's going to be huge. So anyway, yeah, hype check. I think this is the lowest of any game so far. 70% no. Don't give me that free to play. How generous is the gacha in Genshin? Not at all. It sucks. You know, I'll be straight up honest. That what you pay for in Genshin is the characters, and they're constantly putting out new characters. But for me, at some point, I had earned enough through playing the game and doing the battle pass that I'm like, I like my team. I don't need anybody else. If I get a new character, cool. If I don't, cool. But yeah, Genshin Impact, I get why people don't like it. They're very stingy with the gacha, for sure. So we'll move on from Blue Protocol. I'm actually really surprised how negative the reaction to this one is. But this is what's fun. This is what's fun about doing these streams and talking to you guys, because you just never know. Okay, here's another one. I think this one will be positive. Eiyuden Chronicle, 100 Heroes. Let's get a hype check going for Eiyuden Chronicle. What a weird name too. Hyped. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, this is the spiritual successor to Suikoden or Suikoden, or however the hell you say it. I never remember how to say it. I'm probably gonna hear about it in the comments, and that's okay. But literally, it's the same creators of the original Suikoden series, and they did a Kickstarter for this game, and it just went bananas. Did really well, and then they got a publisher. The one thing that was disappointing is part of their Kickstarter is they're like, hey, we have this side game that we're going to work on beforehand, and they put it out, and it wasn't very good. I have a video on my channel if you're curious. It's called Eiyuden Chronicle Rising. It looks like it would be cool. It's like a side-scrolling action RPG, and I'm like, this could be cool. But then I played it, and the combat is just so stiff. That was my biggest problem, is the combat is so stiff. The movement is stiff. It didn't feel good at all. Like, play ease and then play this, and you're going to go, oh, okay, I get it. But Eiyuden Chronicle is not that. This is a straight up Suikoden clone, 6 party members, turn-based, collecting all the different heroes, building up your base. This game is going to be awesome. I just have a good feeling that this game is going to be really, really fantastic. The visuals kind of do what Square's doing with their HD 2D things. It's like they have pixel art 2D characters and then 3D environments. And then JG, okay, Suikoden, whatever. Yeah, Suikoden. So, yeah. But anyway, this is I just think this game's going to be great. I mean, like I said, same team. Visually, it looks fantastic. I think there is really something to that aspect of like collecting the characters, building up your base. Yeah, Morgan, you hated Rising. Dude, I'm right there with you. It was not good. Not a good game. I think it was a total waste of resources. And I get it that it was a stretch goal in the Kickstarter, and they were like, what do we do? I get it, but man, But yeah, I just think this game's going to be great. I don't know what the story is of this, like, at all. I'm assuming Eiyuden is the country they're in or something. But yeah, it's just everything that I've seen so far looks great. You know, we were talking earlier about not getting too hyped for a game. This is one of those games that like initially didn't have a lot of trailers, but like lately I feel like we've been getting a lot of trailers for it, and I just haven't watched any of them. So this is one of those games where I feel like I'm just gonna go into and be like, oh, just pleasantly surprised because I haven't been keeping up with it. By the way, guys, we're We're at 68 likes. Just one away from that magical number, just saying. For anybody that hasn't liked the stream. But yeah, by the way, hype check, 86%. Holy cow. By far the biggest. Dropped a little bit to 84, but like the runaway winner right now. But let's see what you guys are saying. Let's see. Music and the character designs, and okay, and Rising. Try to go dark. I love the base building that Konami started with games like Skies of Arcadia. Yep. Oh, and games like Skies of Arcadia. Yep. The base building aspect is great. I'm too hyped for this, Lauren. Unrelated, but the GC says, is Stellar Blade a JRPG? That's a game that I, obviously a lot of the JRPG creators like Kasekina and Alex from Backlog Battle and Shadow Elite, they all do those beginning of the year JRPG videos, and a lot of them included Stellar Blade. I did not. For those of you that aren't aware, Stellar Blade is like a character action game. That's what it looks like to me, like in the vein of like Bayonetta or like even Nier Automata, which is an RPG, I would say, but that's also by a Korean team. Not that that matters. I'm of the mindset that a JRPG is a style of game, not a country of origin thing. But I know not everybody agrees with that. Maku, hi gamers, what's up, Maku? Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, Mihi, I would totally agree. I would consider the Nier games JRPGs as well, 100%. But yeah, I don't know about Stellar Blade. It looks great though. I mean, obviously the character design's doing a lot of heavy lifting. She's very curvy. The action looks cool, like just visually, the production value is very high. I think it'll be a fun game, and looking forward to playing it. Dingus McCringus, love that name. Was that the game that was previously Project Eve? Yes, it was. I believe that is the game that was previously Project Eve, and they gave it a real name. Let's see. Stellar Blade is the Ryza of Korea. That's hilarious. Is Ys 9 considered a JRPG? Absolutely. I think that's another funny thing that people do with JRPGs. They say JRPGs can only be turn-based. And it's like, okay, so Final Fantasy 15 is not a JRPG. Final Fantasy 7 Remake is not a JRPG. All the Tales games aren't JRPGs. I just don't think combat style matters. Ooh, Lost Soul aside. Okay, Journey. It's funny that you bring up Lost Soul aside. I actually have played that game. This was a long time ago. I want to say it was 2016 at the PlayStation Experience, RIP PlayStation Experience, but they had a booth at the PlayStation Experience for Lost Soul aside, and it's like it reminds me of Neo. It's like a super fast-paced like Souls game. That's the vibe I got when I played it, at least. It was really challenging. Really, really challenging. Super fast. Required a lot of like dodging and parrying and stuff. I know initially it looked like a Final Fantasy 15 ripoff, but when I played it, it was nothing like that. But anyway, yeah, no, I'm super excited for Lost Souls side. That game looks great. Although I feel like I could be wrong. Recently, I feel like they announced that it was coming out in 2024 though. I don't know where I'm remembering that, but I feel like, and Sony is publishing that game. They're like, they've said that they're going to like publish a bunch of different Chinese games because that's a Chinese game. But anyway, yeah. Ooh, now we're getting spicy. People are talking about Dark Souls. I don't count Dark Souls as a JRPG, but that's a video for another day. But Eiyuden Chronicle, now the runaway winner, hype check, 83%. Previous was 77 with Final Fantasy 16, 83 with Eiyuden Chronicle. I did not expect that. Was not expecting Eiyuden Chronicle to leapfrog it. Dark Horse. So, starting to lose my voice here. We got two more. Somebody brought this game up earlier. I'm super hyped for Eternights. This game is going to be awesome. So, let's do a poll for this. Eternights hyped. Now, I imagine this poll is oh, I didn't mean to add an option. Oops. Hang on. Sorry, guys. Oop. Eternights is another game like Loop 8 that I don't think I think the poll's going to skew no because people haven't heard of this one. So I need to drink I am wearing out my throat. Darth Lobo, now you can press R2 to hold hands. So the way that this game is described by the developers is a action game with romance elements set in a post-apocalypse. And when I look at this game, I see Persona with action combat. Now, I don't know if there is daily life activities. In fact, everything I've seen in the trailers tells me that there's not, especially if you're in the apocalypse. Why would you be going to school? But there's like, they're really leaning heavy into the dating aspect, to the romance aspect of Persona games. And people, for anybody that's wondering, what are they talking about with R2 to hold hands? In the trailer, there's this scene where a character, I don't know the context, but it's a character standing next to another character, and there's a prompt that says hold R2 to hold hands, and then there's a bar that fills up. Oh god. But I love those types of games. I think it's I just think that game's gonna be great. JG, what am I drinking? I'm drinking a local brew. This is Westbrook White Thai. It's kind of Blue Moon, if you know what Blue Moon is. It's kind of like Blue Moon. But the hype check is positive, which is good. I was not expecting it to be positive. I was expecting it to lean no because people didn't know about it. But anyway, let's see what people are talking about. Very hyped time to hold hands, says Morgan. Yes, press R2. Darth Lobo smiling. I know this one, and I said no. Rammerster reminds me of Persona for sure. Get a lot of Persona vibes. I want to say that, like, even on their website, I feel like in some of their marketing materials somewhere, they said that, like, it's obviously inspired by Persona. It's like, you look at it and it's hard. They'd be lying if they said that. The emotes killed it for you. Interesting. I don't know. I don't remember any emotes. Craft, Eternights dev. I played Persona 5 in 2017 and instantly quit my job. Sounds like it. Not sure how I feel about this one. I like games like this, says Lauren. Journey, did I ever play Tales of Hearts R? I played it a little bit. Never beat it, but solid, if not a little generic from what I remember. But I think at that time I was kind of burnt out on Tales games because I played Graces and Zillia 2. And then that came out and I was just like, ugh. By the way, speaking of Hearts R, I know we were talking about being, insider and stuff. I actually was the first to leak that game on NeoGAF back in the day. Because I had a friend that worked at GameStop, and they sent me a picture, and they're like, "Hey, look what showed up in our system today," and then I posted it on NeoGAF, and it blew up, and then I think they had to blow the lid off that one. But funny that you bring that up. I hope there's a press R2 to hover. The hover. Yeah, that would be hilarious. Azure Jade, not interested in the romancing aspect for sure. I get it. Tokyo Xanadu, that's the one I was thinking. Tokyo Xanadu, I've said it before and I'm going to keep saying it. Most underrated RPG on the PlayStation 4. Such a fantastic game. So good. It's funny. I want to revise my top 10 JRPGs video just because, you know, new ones come out, your tastes change. And one that was really high was the original Ni no Kuni. And I replayed that recently over the Christmas break. And I was like, this game is so boring. I couldn't believe how bored I was playing Ni no Kuni. But again, I think the original Ni no Kuni, it was a time and place thing. Like you had to have been there, right? Like it was the PS3. There weren't any. And then along comes this JRPG collaborating with Studio Ghibli, and it was just like unlike anything we had seen before. But actually physically playing Ni no Kuni is just such a snooze fest. $7 for Tokyo Xanadu. Buy it right now. Oh my god, Morgan, that's a steal. I don't, you know, if you try to buy it on PlayStation, I think it's $40 minimum because they just, it never goes down in price, and I don't think it ever goes on sale. Alex couldn't get into Ni no Kuni 2. Ni no Kuni 2 was a bummer for me. I was really hoping that I was hoping for more with the story. The combat was better, and that town and building stuff was addictive, if not a little mobile gamey. But yeah. Ni no Kuni is the Xenoblade 1 of the PS3. That sounds about right. Although, I can't believe I'm saying this because I don't really like Xenoblade either. If you were to say which is a better game, Xenoblade, the remake of Xenoblade, or Ni no Kuni 1 remastered, probably Xenoblade. Probably Xenoblade. Ramster, wonder if we'll get a Ni no Kuni 3. It's a great question. What's really weird about Ni no Kuni is they're like pushing that brand really hard because they did the movie and then they did that mobile game, which I think, I could be wrong, but I heard that they're shutting that down. Crossworlds, I think was what it was called. So they, you know, they did a lot of like cross media stuff with Ni no Kuni, but maybe we'll do a third one right now. And then level 5 is just gone totally dark. I feel like I haven't heard anything from level 5 in like 5 years since Ni no Kuni 2. But I saw a story on Gamatsu the other day that they're working on a new Inazuma 11, which is like a soccer RPG series. So that's kind of what they're doing right now. And we just don't get those games. So, yeah. Journey, are you into games like Resident Evil 4 or Dead Space? Absolutely. I love survival horror games. I actually played Dead Space for the first time recently on PC because I played Callisto Protocol and really didn't like it. And everybody was like, play Dead Space, and I played Dead Space. I'm like, oh, this game's cool. The only thing I don't like about Dead Space is that the pacing that game is it's just relentless. The thing I like about Resident Evil is that you have time to explore. There's downtime, but it's like with Dead Space, it's just, I feel like it never ends. It's just constant monsters popping out of places and fighting. You just never have a moment to catch your breath, you know. But super hyped for the remake of Resident Evil 4. That game's gonna be great. JG, what happened to White Knight Chronicles? The dark ages of the JRPG, dude. White Knight Chronicles. I remember when White Knight Chronicles 2 came out, which came packed in with White Knight Chronicles 1. And I bought it out of pure desperation. All the reviews were terrible for White Knight Chronicles 2. And I'm like, I'm starving for a JRPG. I'm like, it's level 5. It's a JRPG. I'm going to buy it anyway. And I remember, I think I returned it within a week. I just couldn't stand White Knight Chronicles 2. What a bummer. But we'll move on from Eternights. 50-50 vote. And I know people have been waiting, and I apologize that it took so long to get here, but Granblue Fantasy Relink, we're finally here. Last game of the night. We'll talk about some other games if people want to, submit some that we didn't talk about. But Granblue Fantasy Relink. Hyped. Ooh. Relink. Hyped. Oh my god, I'm tired of waiting for this game. I am just so tired of waiting for Granblue Fantasy Relink. I want to play this game so badly. I think we all do. I think we've been waiting for this game for the better part of a decade. I remember I put a video out in like 2017 about this game, and I think it was called something like Granblue Fantasy Relink, why it'll be the next great JRPG. And this was when it was still being developed by Platinum, and we like every year we would get like just this minuscule bit of gameplay, and then it went dark, and then not CyberConnect, Cygames took over. They're like, we're just going to do this ourselves. And I feel like the visuals got a huge upgrade. I have no idea if the combat's going to be better. Obviously, Platinum knows how to do good action combat. But yeah, this game has got to come out this year. It's like they even announced it for last year and then they delayed it. Here is the silver lining with Granblue Fantasy Relink. On January 21st, they are doing a big of Granblue Fantasy event. And I fully anticipate a release date. I don't want to get anybody overhyped or too excited or whatever, but I believe that we're going to get a release date on January 21st. They've just been taking way too long with this game, and it's time. It's time for a release date. But everything they've shown of this game just looks unbelievable. It's like we're going to have this huge giant world that you can play single player. If you want to play friends, we've got these little mini dungeons that play out like Monster Hunter. So like if you're into Monster Hunter, like they have this piece of gameplay where and this is probably 2 years old at this point, but where they start out and they're just fighting trash enemies, and then they fight this big dragon, and everybody has their role. It's almost like an action WoW or an action MMO type of thing. But fear not, there's a single player story. Don't have to play with friends. It's not an MMO. It's not an online only. There's none of that. You can see there's box art for it, so it's going to be a retail game. So I wouldn't worry about any of that crap. But yeah, man, this is one of those games that I feel like the hype could kill it. You know, we've been talking all night about like, hey, let's not get overhyped for games, because we're gonna you get your expectations up too high, and then the game comes out and you're like, oh, I'm kind of disappointed. This is not what I was hoping for. And this is like the next Final Fantasy 15, right? We've been waiting for this game for so long. I feel like it can't possibly live up to the expectations that people have of it, just because people have had too much time to like marinate and imagine what this game could be, that it's never going to be what they want. But I still think it's going to be a fantastic game. I think at the end of the day, it's going to be like a solid 8.5 out of 10, if not a 9. And here's another, this has nothing to do with, it's not important really, but I think that, sorry if the camera's shaking, I'm kicking my desk here. I think that Xseed is going to publish this game in the West. And the only reason I say that is because they have a good relationship with Cygames. So they published Granblue Fantasy Versus, and then they published the little known with Shadowverse Champions Battle, which was like a full-on JRPG, but the combat was like a card game. That game was awesome. So I think Xseed's going to publish this game in the West. And I tried to bait it out of an Xseed PR person. I was like, there was just one day I was like, oh, hey, by the way, congrats on publishing Granblue Fantasy. And they're like, oh, well, we haven't announced anything yet. I was really hoping I could bait them into like sneaking out an answer, but they wouldn't have it. But I fully anticipate Xseed publishing this in the West, just because Cygames has no Western presence at all. Like I said, Xseed published Versus, Granblue Fantasy Versus, Shadowverse, and then Nintendo published Dragalia Lost, which is a game that they made, a mobile game that they made, and they've never officially released this game in the West, like the OG mobile game that this is based off, which they've never released. There's like weird workarounds, and you could blue stack it and play this weird workaround like browser version, but they've never officially released it. So I anticipate that Xseed will do it. But let's look at the hype check. Eiyuden Chronicle is still winning. It's the overall winner, and I don't think it will be toppled at 83%. Hype check is at 76% with Relink. But let's see what you guys have to say here. Hell yeah, from Mahi. Huge fan of let's see, Dead Space. Let's go Granblue from Lane. It's been years, Javon. I'm worried this game is gonna be a stinker. Ooh, Dr. Level Up, not excited. Better to have your expectations low though, I feel like. Really not sure about Granblue Fantasy. Platinum games not being on anymore is worrisome. That's a good point, Morgan. The gameplay they've shown so far looks good though. Obviously, there are few developers that know how to do action better than Platinum, but I get that. Does this have a definitive release date, Mr. Boy Human? It does not. And it technically, I could be wrong, technically it doesn't even have a Western. I don't think they've announced it for the West yet, but they'd be stupid not to release it in the West. I just think they'll never make their money back if they don't. Did you play Babylon's Fall? Okay. I have not played Babylon's Fall, but I have a really fun idea for a stream. So Babylon's Fall, the servers are getting shut down on February 28th. And so I think it would be a really fun stream to just play that game until the servers die. I think that would be super fun. That game is like, you can buy it for pennies on the dollar right now. In fact, I think GameStop employees were told to give the game away or literally destroy the copies. So you may be able to get that game really, really cheap. But I have a friend in one of the Discords I'm in that was playing it the other day, and he's like, yeah, if you play with friends, it's cool. If you play by yourself, it's tedious and boring as hell. But yeah, I'm gonna stream that. The last day that server is live, we're just gonna play it. I'll start the stream, in the early. I have no idea when, at what point they're gonna turn it off. If it's Japan time or Eastern time or Western, but we're gonna play that game on the final day until the servers die. I think that would be fun. Craft, I really didn't like the last gameplay stream. It looks like ease with a budget, but without the soul. That's interesting. I hope Relink will be a next-gen PS5 game. It is a PS5 game, Jonathan. They did, initially it was PS4 and PC, but they have announced it for PS5, so it's definitely coming to PS5. Hope it doesn't end up like 15. Me too. I hope it just becomes a great game. Hope it plays well on the PS4. Me too. Let's see. Marinade. Interesting. Brian, what marinade are you talking about? Are you marinating some meat? 8 out of 10 for sure. Oh, Project Awakening, I believe, is what you're talking about, Craft. What was that Dragon's Dogma Monster Hunter game? Project Awakening. Yep. That game's been totally silent as well. I don't know what's going on with Project Awakening. That may have just died at some point. Trailers mean so little. I couldn't agree more. Trailers don't mean anything. Cygames is going to surprise a lot of people. They have infinite money, says me. Cygames is one of those developers that, I think the West doesn't know anything about, but they have Shadowverse and they have Granblue Fantasy, which are just making ungodly amounts of money. And then there's this other cross-media franchise that they have called, I think it's called Uma Masume Pretty Derby, which is a game about half horse girls. They're horse girls, like you think of cat girls, but they're horse girls. They race. They do races, they run and they race. And then after they do pop performances. And there's an anime about it. It's amazing. I think it's one of the wildest concepts for anything, and it's hilarious. But that game also makes a lot of money. So Cygames quietly has just this little treasure trove of money. Yeah, the Uma Masume anime was it was cute. Jim Sterling's new video of this year was excellent. They did a video on Square's 3 dying live service games. So what was it? It was Babylon's Fall, Avengers, and what was that other one? It was like a generic shooter. Couldn't tell you. Yeah, no, and that's another thing. No Uma Masume global release, which is sad. And then I was bummed that they decided to turn the servers off for Dragalia Lost, which Side Games made. That was one of the very few mobile games I loved. Like the daily churn of that game was awesome. Beautiful graphics, awesome visuals. Oh, Soldier First Class. Holy crap. What a bad idea that was. Let's do a mobile only battle royale. What the hell? Yeah, Left Alive. Oh, yes. Yeah, Full Metal Wolf Babe. At first I read that as Blade. Full Metal Wolf Babe. Yeah, Dragalia Lost was amazing. One of the very few pure mobile games that I got addicted to. There's another game that you guys aren't talking about that Square did that's a live service game, though. It was made by a Western team, and I can't remember what it's called. It really doesn't matter. Square Enix Western live service game. It kind of played like The Division, but I can't remember what it's called, and it's going to bug me. Babylon's Fall. Wasn't that? It was it was like a shooter. God, what the heck was it called? It's like on the tip of my tongue. As soon as you guys post it, I'm gonna kick myself. Outriders. That's it. Outriders. Thank you. Outriders. Yep. I actually heard that game did pretty well, though. Yeah. Okay. So it's a full game with the expansions. I guess it reminded me of The Division, though, which is technically a live service game. I guess that game is like, that term has kind of gotten perverted in the age of, like Fortnite and Genshin Impact and stuff like that. But okay. So it's not a live service, but okay. It was very live service. You had to be online. When I think live service, all it means is it constantly gets updated. Like technically, like Call of Duty's a live service game if you think about it. Am I excited for Mistwalker making a new dark fantasy game? I haven't heard about that. That game they did with Apple Arcade. It was a shame that that game got stranded on Apple Arcade. Oh God, now I can't remember this game. Mistwalker. The hell was that called? Fantasian. God, Fantasian. What a shame that that's stuck on mobile. Holy cow. That game deserves to be on consoles. What a damn shame that game is stuck on Apple Arcade. Well, I'm going to close this hype check on Granblue Fantasy Relink. 75%, 76%. But number one, weirdly enough, this was if at the beginning of the stream, if you were to ask me what game I thought would win the hype check poll, Eiyuden Chronicle, I would not have expected. Eiyuden Chronicle coming in with a 93% hype check. But let's see here. I mean, that's all I got. So if there's any other JRPGs that I did not talk about that you guys want to talk about, let me know. Otherwise, we'll kind of just start slowly winding this stream down. I'm going to continue to enjoy my Westbrook white tie beverage. Dr. Level, what non-Japanese RPGs are people hyped for? I'm hyped for Starfield. Starfield looks great. I'm hyped for the Resident Evil 4 remake. That game looks fantastic. Actually, I'm so steeped in JRPGs, I don't even remember what 2023 video games. What's coming out this year? Oh, Tears of the Kingdom. New Zelda game. I know, debatable if it's an RPG. Probably not really. But freaking Zelda's going to be awesome. What else do we have? Maybe Hollow Knight 2 Silk Song. Maybe that'll come out. Oh my gosh. Have you guys seen that game Lies of P? It's like weirdly enough, it's a Pinocchio inspired like Bloodborne ripoff. It looks awesome. This game looks awesome. Look up Lies of P. That game looks so cool. It's got like that really high production value, and it's kind of in that like Victorian setting, but it's based off Pinocchio, weirdly enough. And it's not kiddie at all. It's very like gritty and realistic, but man, that game looks fantastic. Okay, let's go down. Let me just see here. I know we didn't talk about Forspoken. I don't really count that as a JRPG. I know it's made by a Japanese developer, but that's got a lot of very Western, inspired design. What else we got here? Oh, Wild Hearts. Wild Hearts, dude. I know people probably counted that in their JRPGs. That is the Monster Hunter game being made by Koei Tecmo. Wild Hearts looks awesome. I'm probably going to stream that a lot. That game looks fantastic. Let me see if I can hold on. Wild Hearts. This isn't really doing much, but yeah, Wild Hearts looks killer. I love me a good Monster Hunter game, and that game looks like they're doing something interesting, and they're making it more playable. Like I think a lot of people don't like Monster Hunter because it's like a little slow and clunky at times, like purposefully slow and clunky, but Wild Hearts seems very actiony, very kinetic. Futaga looking forward to Street Fighter 6. Yup. Anybody that's a fighting game fan, that looks great. Yeah, the only weird thing about Wild Hearts is that it's being published by EA, which is so weird. And hopefully they don't mess with it. But yeah, Wild Hearts looks sick. What else? There's a Kirby's Return to Dreamland, which I think is some kind of remake. Fatal Frame. Oh, okay. What about this? Bayonetta Origins, Cereza and the Lost Demon. That's sort of like a weird, like adventure style thing. That looks kind of interesting. Definitely not like an action game, like their typical fare, but could be kind of cool. JRPG adjacent that I think a lot of people here are interested in. Grimoire Once More. That's like an old PS2 game from Vanillaware, who did like 13 Sentinels and oh god, I'm trying to think. Odin Sphere, Dragon's Crown. So that I think that's their. Oh god, I don't want to say this, but I want to say that was their first game, but I could be wrong. But that's getting a remaster. That'll be cool. Mega Man Battle Network Collection. I've never played any of those games. So I am very interested in trying those out. See what they're all about. That could be cool. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. It's been a hot second since Rocksteady's put a game out. Let's see what else. Oh, Hogwarts Legacy. What about you? What do you guys think of that Hogwarts game? The more that they show of that, the more I'm kind of blown away at how big that game is. Like I was watching a video from Eric's Gaming, however you pronounce that. And there's like, you ride your broom all over the world and like you're going to Hogsmeade and like, man, this game is just gigantic, man. The game looks huge. Okay, let's look at other games that just don't have dates. Assassin's Creed Mirage, Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora, Black Myth Wukong. That's a Chinese kind of Souls game that looks pretty cool. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, the kind of Jet Set Radio spiritual successor, could be cool. What else? Dune Spice Wars. That's interesting. Oh, it's a Telltale game, The Expanse. Telltale's making a game based off The Expanse. That's interesting. Fuga Melodies of Steel 2. I know that's a JRPG, but that game will be cool. The front mission remakes. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just looking at a list on Wikipedia, but let's see what else. Ease 10. Yeah, Ease 10. I don't think we're getting that this year, but that does look awesome. Did I cover Fire Emblem? That was one of the first games we talked about, Mahi. But yeah, we did talk about that briefly at the very beginning. Wo Yang? I'm not sure what's SX Brielle. I don't know what Wo Yang is. Sacrifier. Okay. Bayonetta has lost me, says Dr. Lolap. You know, I picked up Bayonetta and it's just been sitting on my shelf. I have not played it. Spider-Man 2. Yep, Spider-Man 2 is going to be sick. Did you catch any of that? My Apple Watch misheard me. Oh my god, Advance Wars, what the hell? Yeah. Seba, man. I understand that it would be insensitive to release that game right now, but my god. That game's got to come out. Mr. Boy Human, is Bayonetta sitting on my gaming shelf? It is. Journey, Trials, and Joy. When will we ever get a game like Shadow of Colossus? Not many game developers and unique storytellers anymore. Okay, it's funny that you mention Shadow of the Colossus. Games like Shadow of the Colossus. There was a game that came out. Oh my god. That it was just straight up like a Shadow of the Colossus copy. And I can't remember what it's called. And you guys probably are going to tell me. But I mean, there's Titan Souls, which is like a pixel art style version of that. But there was a game that it was some indie team was working on. And I cannot remember what the hell it was called. Now it's gonna bug me. Indie game like Shadow of the Colossus. I'm looking at the freaking screenshot and it's not telling me because I'm looking at it. I'm like, yeah, this is Neo. What? These lists are fucking terrible. Excuse me. Monster Hunter. Pray for the Gods. That's it. Pray for the Gods. That game may have already come out. But it's spelled very weird. It's Praey. Pray for the Gods. If you like Shadow of the Colossus, I check that out. Trial. Because that game is straight up just trying to copy Shadow of the Colossus. Yeah, Pray to the Gods. Pray for the Gods, excuse me. I'm going to post it in chat. But yeah, it's spelled very funkily. And then there's obviously, they did Last Guardian, which is made by the same guy. And that team, that guy spun off and made his own team called Gen Design or something like that. So hopefully, and they said they're going to announce their new game this year. Wish they'd port Last Guardian to PC. Yeah, I had a tough time trying to get through. And Dingus had it earlier. Yeah, Pray to the Gods. Thank you. But I tried to get through Last Guardian, it was really hard controlling the bird dog character. I mean, it was very charming and it was very pretty, but yeah, not not that great. So anyways, guys, I think I'm gonna end the stream here. We've been going, almost 2.5 hours. What a rousing success this was. I think this is the most people I've ever had in a stream before. I really appreciate you guys stopping by. I appreciate that you guys watching all the videos. If we talked about a lot of JRPGs today. If you want to know all of them, including the ones that we didn't talk about, definitely go check out my 60 JRPGs you can play this year video. It was one of my more recent ones. Definitely go check out my preview for One Piece Odyssey that I put out today, and I will be putting out a review for that. I don't have the game yet, but definitely trying to get a review code and trying to get that started. So, but yeah, we'll do more of these. This was fun. I loved it. Just these kind of casual streams. It's great to just talk with you guys and get your thoughts and get the hype checks. But Eiyuden Chronicle was the winner tonight at 83%, followed by Final Fantasy 16 at 77%, I believe. Came at 2, and then I think 3 was Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. We can scroll back on the polls, but this was a blast, guys. I'm definitely going to be doing more. So stay tuned for more streams. So anyways, I will talk to you all later. Have a good night, and we'll see you next time.